What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the latest Stephen King adaptation. It was actually a novel that Stephen King wrote when he was going by the pseudonym Richard Bachman. It's one of his first books, and that is The Long Walk, directed by Francis Lawrence, written by J.T. Molnar, who wrote Strange Darling last year, a movie that I really loved. If you haven't seen Strange Darling, please watch it. It stars Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, Ben Wang, Mark Hamill. In a dystopian alternate America ruled by totalitarian regime, 50 teenage boys take part in a deadly annual walking contest, forced to maintain a minimum pace or be executed until only one survivor remains. That's right, these rules are pretty set and they are straightforward. There's no finish line. If you fall too far behind or if you fall down, you can't get up within 10 seconds, bang, you're dead. And you can file The Long Walk into that category of it's a fantastic movie, but I never want to watch it ever again. Yeah, it's one of those movies. I haven't had a gut reaction like this since Civil War last year. If I get the Blu-ray of The Long Walk, it's going to be like that Civil War Blu-ray where it's just going to be a coaster that I put on my table that I can put my drink on top of, or I can use it for other means because I'm never watching it again. Even though it's a great movie, it is grueling. It is disturbing. It really takes its toll on you. It fucks with your mental psyche. It really emotionally drains you when all is said and done. Even when the violence pulls away and you don't really see the actual acts of executions happening or they're in the background, it really plays with your mind as how much can you watch? And a lot of that is a big token to Francis Lawrence, who I think is a perfect director for this because it does have, in a way, parallels to the Hunger Games. And he's directed the last 4 Hunger Games movies. He didn't direct the first one. It has that kind of similar feel to it, where it's like kind of instead of a fight to the death, it's a walk to the death. But what makes this so much better is that there's no real antagonist here other than Mark Hamill. None of the boys that are participating in this contest with no finish line, and you get executed if you fall too far behind or you fall down and you can't get up within 10 seconds. None of them are really antagonists. Some of them come across as assholes, but none of them are ever like, I'm going to make sure you die so that I finish and get the prize and the wish that I'm granted. No, all of them really form a strong, unique bond, and that's what makes it so much more unsettling when all of them just start getting picked off one by one, and you're just left like, oh shit, man, these poor kids. And a lot of it also comes down to the brilliant performances, particularly Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson. These two are trying to spark up some hope, especially Cooper Hoffman's character, who has a plan of his own, and they're trying to find the light of love and hope in such a grim and bleak situation and world. And they really bond over that. David Johnson is so good in the movie. He was so good in Alien Romulus. Like, he was a man to watch out for, and he completely is now. He really comes across as somebody that you can sympathize with and somebody that will be sympathetic. He sells it all, man. Same with Cooper Hoffman, who I actually did not know was Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. So that's why we're getting greatness with Cooper Hoffman. Francis Lawrence is able to get so much out of their performances, and they're so good in their performances that Francis Lawrence is able to get so much emotion out of us audience members through all the interactions and conversations many of these characters have. And the realization that as the miles and the days go by and the body count starts to drop, this world and this walk becomes more grim and more unsettling. And that brotherly bond that both Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson form throughout this entire movie becomes so much more geared towards sadness as you get towards the end of this movie. There are a few emotional moments where it's really tugging at you, man. You're just like, Mark Hamill as the Major. I love Mark Hamill just playing a cartoony, mustache twirling villain, playing against type And while he has played villainous characters before, this is probably his most villainous. And you can tell Mark Hamill is just relishing it. You could tell he's relishing the pure villainy of being able to unleash pure brutality and evil wickedness upon these boys taking part in this walk. I think my main issue with this movie is that there are times where the framing of the shots kind of make it look like there's only a small group of boys left. It'll focus on two characters or maybe three or four in the frame. And that's really all you see. You don't see anybody in the background. Of course, there's nobody in front of them because the camera's standing in front of them. And it made me think, I was like, okay, did people get killed off screen? And then there will be a wide shot from the side and it'll show how many of them are actually left, and it's still a good chunk of them. And I'm like, so why was that shot framed that way? That was a bit confusing. It led to me thinking that people were killed off screen. And I think getting to the end, which I have heard the end is going to be a bit controversial, especially if you have read the book. I think they changed a couple things around. I thought that the ending was a bit abrupt. Like the last 15 minutes or so, I felt like there was another 15 minutes of movie that was supposed to be in here and they just cut it because they wanted to keep it under 2 hours. And it did feel really rushed. It felt like, okay, we just want to get this over and done with. But man, if you have ever seen a movie that you never want to watch again because its content is just so grim and bleak, and it's just leaves you with that feeling of sadness leaving the theater. The Long Walk is going to be one of those movies. And there's probably a whole slew of those movies out there. For instance, I mentioned Civil War earlier. I can never watch Requiem for a Dream ever again. It's a good movie, but I never want to see it again because it's just so depressing. And that's kind of how I feel with The Long Walk, even if I buy the Blu-ray. You don't find solace in the movie score either. You feel that sadness that the score and the scene itself is bringing out, and the emotion that it's making you feel. It really messes with your mental psyche. It's one of those movies. I'm not going to say I enjoyed The Long Walk with a full bucket of popcorn, but I did scarf down a full bucket of popcorn. I didn't find any of this enjoyable. That was very hard to watch, but it is a very good movie. So if you do see The Long Walk, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.